Wiser mean that you carry the instinctive understanding of the direction in which they're going.
But you see, if I don't develop this gift, it will die with me.
What they genuinely love. And that is why I do not like schools who create what is called knowledge. And that is why your children will never become older than you. You will always be older than your children. And you will always be wiser. Now, wiser doesn't mean that you know more than them.
Nature of who we are. Our personality will never shine in the natural state. Our skill to be able to do things and move things and touch people and inspire people will never shine like that. I couldn't speak like this. There was no way I could have speak like this. But you know, the ability to do this, okay, should I even call it the ability, the gift to do this? I've interviewed over 1,000 people. At the point somebody told me, do you know that this is a gift to you? This is a gift to you. And he told me, go and look at your family. You will see that there are people, that is this gift that is running around within your family. And I've really looked around. It is true. If I don't develop this gift, it will die with me. So I wanted to speak to that by the time you have a purpose, a mission in life, you are going to need the skill to do that. But even though you are given the instrument, which is the skill, if you want to call it like that, is in raw state, it will never serve you until you refine it. Tell me about that.
Yes, you see, purpose is such a funny thing. And if we look in the story of Jacob and his children, Joseph and all his children, when Jacob died on his deathbed, Jacob was able to predict what the purpose of all his children were, and what would put it in dormancy or derail it, and how they will recover or pivot back into their purpose. And I'm putting that out so people listen to that story. So what purpose is generational. When you're born into a family, you are created in that family, and your purpose is interconnected to all the other gifts and uniqueness that family members bring. And when that purpose is combined, wherever you are in the world, you are, as a family, you're giving the same impact. I wish we could explore this a little more in another, how generational faith and purpose is established and how it is built. But we start with the framework that God gives godly parents discernment. And parents by nature have been given the preparation that you're saying, the crude ground, the intrinsic knowledge. And that is why your children will never become older than you. You will always be older than your children, and you will always be wiser. Now, wiser doesn't mean that you know more than them. Wiser mean that you carry the instinctive understanding of the direction in which they're going, and you're either to guide them out or guide them fumbling in the dark into light, or walk with them throughout their purpose, because parents are always there and children always call back on their parents in the natural realm of things. There are some exceptions to every rule. So we want to establish that so we see how it is tied in or how it is intersected. But some children, when they are born, for example, if I'm to give a practical example, the moment they are born, they keep reaching for books, whether they tear up the book or they look through the book, or they just gravitate towards book. You come in, you put your things down, they gravitate towards the book, not the bag, not the phone, not the book. And you can either destroy that natural predisposition or you can nurture it. So what you do, some people do, is that they keep spanking the child to leave that book. And some other wise parents provide books for them to say, this is yours. You can do anything you want with it. They tolerate the tearing up at the start. Then they realize that the pictures will console the child or confirm. The child begins to draw, and you say to them, go and pick up your book and study. You have your exams to do. Stop the drawing. And so you kill that gift also, that unique tendency. And then the child does what you want. So the child does well in school, of course, does his homework and so on. But that child hides and create the book, the drawing, the all of those. So you might say you find the child underneath his bed with a flashlight reading his book, because if he takes up the book to do that, you have this mindset, or you have been programming your family to believe that you must be working and busy. And if you're not working and busy and doing chores, once you're sitting down or reading a book, you are going to destroy your future. So we destroy, we find that purpose that it has been established in our child, we distort it. You might find a child who constantly looks at saving his money. He doesn't want to spend it. He doesn't save. And he tries to say, okay, please buy that for me. Buy that goat, or buy that chicken, or buy that gadget. And we destroy the child because the child is too young. And sometimes we laugh at it because we say, this child is so mean and so tight, or this child is so prudent with his money and very selfish and so on. And we sometimes taunt the child and take away the money, and the child goes into a tantrum and so on. But in our minds, we are serving the child. But that child later becomes a financial wizard and becomes one of the great economists, or that child becomes a graphic artist, or the child becomes one of the greatest producers or publishers in the family that generates his money and wealth that he now comes to serve the family with. And there are some children who like to always cook, and we are saying because you're a male, being a chef is not a profession, but the child becomes one of the greatest chefs in the world. How do we nurture it? We build on what they are doing naturally, even if it is a hobby in our mind, and even something like that. We create this space where we give them room to breathe, to become themselves, to search and test themselves, to see what they produce and to see what they genuinely love. And that is why I do not like schools who create what is called a vocation program. So they say when the child gets into grade 9, they will now pick the subjects that they want to do, and they will now put them on a career path. But guess what? This child that is being put on a career path, who is excelling in the sciences and so on, does not want to do anything with the sciences and so on. But because they're excelling, you say, okay, you can be a dentist, a great doctor, great. So you push them into that vocation. And the child goes into the vocation and does well, but the child does the other things that he wants to do, maybe singing. The child might want to become a singer. The child writes his lyrics. The child loves to sing. So when he's in his university and so on, they're having concerts and so here he goes with his original lyrics. He writes things for people. He does ads for people and so on. But that is not the gift. That's not the vocation he's in. That's not the training that he's now on. He's now training for the sciences. And so when he comes out, many of them become the doctor for you, and then they pick up their hobby as their job, and you get so upset because you're saying, look why would you change and do ads and so on when you actually have the credentials to be a doctor? Because in the minds of parents and the programming that we have, our children can only do well if they go into those areas.